Tony. I wrote a story yesterday that I titled or called uh, Haunted House on Dead Hollow, or either Dead Hollow on Haunted House, or something like that. And I decided that I would like to tell the story because in my head it's a better story than what the words captured on paper. So I thought I'd try to tell the story and see if I could make it come across the way I see it or the way I remember it, as it is a story from my very young childhood. Anyway, this is about a haunted house in Harpersville. And this is a true story. It's from my youth, 1950s, 1960, long time ago. And picture, if you will, Harpersville is, I dearly love it more than anything. It's a small one red light town. There's Highway 280 and Highway 25, one red light there. And it's a rural farming town. Wonderful people. And when I was a child there was always a sign coming up to the red light there in Harpersville. That was always eerie to me, and it said 6 killed the next intersection. I never really fully understood that, but what it was it was pretty much the biggest wreck that had ever happened at that time. And it's kind of alarming to people, and it was a caution thing. But as a 6-year-old child, it was in my head. I saw Haints walking the streets at night, this sort of thing. It was just eerie. Plus, the cemetery was just down the road behind me there. So it was always a very scary and alarming thing every time I saw that sign. Now, those days have certainly gone by, and that sign's long gone, and that record is also long gone, and it's a different world now. But in Harpersville, there was a road that looped around like a half moon, and it was a 2-lane dirt road that would get you around Harpersville there, and that road was called Farmingdale Road, and it's a dirt road. And you have to imagine in your head here, just if you're used to living in these big towns and cities, it's you don't know what dark is. You never really see dark. You're always light at night. But out in the country there, when it's dark at night, you can't see your hand in front of your face. And that's the way we lived. At night, it was dark and you couldn't see to walk. And that's the way it always was around there like that. And around this dirt road, about halfway around this dirt road, there would be a 1-lane dirt road that teed off and went out, and that road was called Dead Hollow, and it got very little traffic. There wasn't a lot of traffic on it. But way out in the distance there, on the rising of a hill, was an old house, and what it was an old Victorian age, post-Civil War type house. A mansion, a big house, a 3-story house. It was probably plantation owners back in that day, but that was a very long time ago. Anyway, this house had long since been abandoned and was becoming in a dilapidated kind of condition. Like the porch would be kind of fell off, and windows broken out and things like that, and it just was in bad shape. Now, the next town down the road was Wilsonville. And in Wilsonville had a steam plant where the local area all got their electricity from. And that steam plant, you could always kind of see it off in the distance because they always have these big smoke tracks and everything. And that was kind of the background to the vision of this house out across this large cotton field up on this hill. And that house was known in my youth as a haunted house, and children not really children, I guess, dating age kids, 16, 15, that age, from Vincent School would own a dare, would go out to this house at night. And of course, boys would try to get their girlfriends to walk through it and that sort of thing. And everybody would be scared. But always when you'd come up to it and drive up to it, the cars would come up to it and all, and you'd park there in front of it, it would, it was common knowledge that people would see ghosts move through, like from the living room through to the kitchen or something, through the house. You could sit out in your car and you could see a ghost move. If you just sit there a while, you'd see a ghost move through the house. This white light move through the house, and that was common. Everybody knew that. I mean, it wasn't a trick or a story or something. You could sit there and see them. So it was very scary and very unnerving type thing, and boys would get their girlfriends to go in there and everything, and they would come out screaming and yelling and telling stories, and go to school the next day and dare another group of kids to come, and on it went. Year after year that people were told about this. Well, my youth kind of gave way to my older age and stuff, and the 2-lane dirt road became a paved road, and the 1-lane dead hollow road became a 2-lane dead hollow road and stuff. And progress came to Harpersville, and things changed and whatnot. And sure enough, that house was tore down, and it was a big loss. I remember it quite sadly when that house was torn down and gotten rid of. But when I became of age and was 16 and would have a girlfriend, I longed for the days when the other kids would go out there and stuff. So what I would do is I would stop out on what had now become a paved road, and I would show this girl this field and all, and I would try to tell the story of this old haunted house out in there, and everything across this field, in the dark of the night and everything. And she would call my bluff. She'd say, "Oh, you're crazy. There's no such thing. There's no house there. There's nothing to be scared of," and all. And you'd sit there in the dark on this paved road, looking out with this vision here. And after a while, sure enough, along would come a ghost across that field. Just a light come across that field, and the girl would be filled with terror, and would of course race to my arms to be protected and everything. And what finally, as a mature adult, I finally realized one day that what was going on there was the light from that power plant was always circling around and would come across that field.